I'm Fletcher Rhoden, and my pet peeve for today is comics breaking. Pet Peeves is brought to you by my website, FletcherRhoden.com. That's where you can find links such as the one to my authors page at Amazon.com. That's where you can buy my books in paperback or for Kindle or, in some cases, in audiobook format. There's also a link at my website to my Spotify artists page. That's where you can download my albums. I've got a lot of them. In 2024, I did a 4-album set called Quadrilogy. And in 2025, I have a brand new pop album called I'm Possible. Now you can download those at Spotify or anywhere across the internet. If you like to download your favorite music, you can download mine. But at the website, FletcherRhoden.com, there is music that you can get there exclusively and for free. So have fun with that. Okay, today's pet peeve is comics breaking. Now, you may not know what this means. You may be thinking Breaking Bad. It's not that. You may be thinking when they fall apart on stage. It's not that, although nobody likes to see a comic die. Watching a comic die on stage is a brutal experience. I'm not sure if it's harder on the audience than on the comic. I think it's harder on the comic. But at least the audience only has to sustain that particular misery once. The comic probably has to go on bombing all the time. So, I don't mean that though. Breaking is a comedy term which means laughing. Breaking character. It's basically what it's short for. And its origins are in sketch comedy. So you'd see this a lot during Carol Burnett, the Carol Burnett show, when Tim Conway was really on a roll, and then the other actors are like turning their heads away from the camera and laughing. That's called breaking. But it's rarely true. It's mostly a put-on. I can't speak specifically about Carol Burnett's show, but they rehearsed these scenes. They wrote them. First, the writers wrote the scenes, like on a Monday, let's say, and on a Tuesday there were reads and read-throughs and rejections and edits made and notes and things of that sort. Then on Wednesday there'd be blocking, and there'd be sets would be built and things like that. Then like Thursday there'd be rehearsal and whatever, and Friday would be like dress rehearsals and stuff, and they'd usually tape on a Friday. At the end of the work week, I think, for shows like that. Thursday was a popular taping day, but I think Friday for a show like Carol Burnett. And then Saturday, Sunday they had off, and they went back to work Monday morning. So they had 5 days from Monday when the writers were writing. I guess Tuesdays when the actors really got the material, unless they were writing it themselves, which they might have been doing. I think Tim Conway probably was in the writing room a lot, even if he isn't an accredited writer of that show. I don't know, but either the writers really knew that actor, or he created a lot of his own characters. I mean, he created Dorf, the golf character, I'm pretty sure, and the old man whose secretary was Mrs. O'Wiggins, and he did a lot of that. I think he was involved in the writing, but even so, Corman and Burnett and everybody else, they were all in on it too. And by Tuesday, they knew the jokes. And by Wednesday, they'd been through them several times. And by Thursday, they had rehearsed it several times. They'd even done a full dress rehearsal. So that Thursday would be maybe 3 rehearsals of the show, 1-hour show. And then on Friday, when they do the show, there's no way people are cracking up at Tim Conway's antics because they've seen it 4 days worth. They just saw it 3 times the day before. It's a cue for the audience to laugh. Because the audience isn't just laughing at the hysterics of the guy. They're laughing with the other celebrities. If the other celebrities think it's funny, it must be funny. And so we're laughing we feel equal to Carol Burnett or Vicki Lawrence. Lovely, by the way. you know, Lyle Waggoner, also lovely. We that's the point of breaking. Then they continue that tradition to SNL. Did it a lot on SNL, and I get that there was some improv on SNL, but very, very little, because everybody was under the thumb of Lorne Michaels, I believe, and still are, I believe, and probably will go on to be even after Lorne Michaels departs from the show, and they don't allow for a ton of improvisation. You can't curse on the show. That it's all strictly governed in terms of time. You can't just be stretching things out. You do the skit the way it's rehearsed. It's not an improv show. It's a sketch comedy show, but sketches are written. So to break in the middle of a thing on SNL, like during the news, the two guys currently who do the news on SNL, I don't know, their names escape me, Michael something and something. They break all the time. But how could they possibly be breaking at jokes they wrote? You can laugh at a joke you wrote at the moment you write it. And honestly, I've written jokes that I heard other people, like I wrote some jokes that in this double act, that when I heard the other person do the joke, I laughed, because I thought it was funny. But I wouldn't have laughed on stage. I allowed myself the privilege of laughing during rehearsals, but I didn't laugh on stage. I didn't break. And that's what brings us to stand-up comics who laugh. Okay? This is the worst of the worst. Now I get it if you're in front of a big audience and it's an improv, it's not an improv thing, but it's somebody is so good and they're just nailing it so much that you have to laugh at them. If Tim Conway's, maybe if Tim Conway, maybe these people were allowed to improvise a little bit. They might have been. Conway in particular, because his comedy was so physical that it would have been hard for anyone to tell him what to do. He would have been totally in control, and then Corman or, everyone else would have been like a straight man to him. I think he was the only person who ever maybe improvised on that show, looking at the performances. I don't know this, but I think it. So, but thinking it makes it possible. So but it would have been hard to tell him. And if he was stretching out a moment where he was slowly inching onto a chair or something, or doing, or doing a long joke on Mama's Family skit, that he could have broke up the other actors and make them break, make the break character and break up laughing. I think that's also the origins of that phrase is, to break is to break up laughing. But it's also breaking character, because you're breaking the skit. Anyway, so that's possible. But it's not possible really on SNL's news update, because unless they didn't tell each other the jokes going in, which I doubt. So it really reeks of a kind of insecurity to me. It's like, we need to cue the audience when to laugh, so we'll laugh. Now, let's go to stand-up comedy, where this seems to be a new thing. Now, I'm not in the stand-up comedy world. I was for a very brief period. I had what I would call a foray into it. And I did make a comedy album called The Sexiest Guy in the World Goes Electric. And that's a 30-song download extravaganza. It's 30 songs in a single download on Spotify, or wherever you like to download your favorite music. But it's all comedy rock, all comedy songs, but with full band arrangements and rock guitars and drums and all that stuff. Some of it's family friendly, some of it is not. But it's all sort of mixed together. Anyway, let me just say at the outset, so I'm not in the comedy thing, but I know something about it, and I having been in it in a foray, and also having studied it and been around professional comics my whole life. My mom married into the professional comedy world. We had legendary comics at our house for New Year's Day parties, So I know a bit about it, and I can tell you that the new thing in comedy, it used to be people looking at their notes. They'd pull up the stool, put their notes on the stool, and go, "Hi, folks, thanks for having me." No. No. Oh, here's one. So I was... No. 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 That was the trend of of last year or two. But now the trend amongst comedians is to laugh at your own joke. You tell a joke and then you laugh. And what I understand they're doing now is tapping the microphone against their leg. So tell a joke, laugh at it, and tap the microphone against your leg like you're knee slapping. I think it's the recreation. It's the return of the knee slapper. Okay? But there's no chance on earth that any stand-up comic is going to be surprised or laugh genuinely at one of his own jokes. Not a chance. Why is that? Because not only does the stand-up comic have to write the joke, hopefully write it, not steal it, eh? But then also perform it, or rehearse it, hone it, edit it, hopefully doing these things, rehearsing it over and over and over again in their mind. Then they go on stage and they do it many times, each time gauging the reaction of the audience, finding out what part of the joke is strong, what part is weak, where it can be condensed and brought down and made more impactful, you know? And that's how professional stand-up comedians work their material. Then they figure out what bits go together and how they can segue them all, and they get inspired by improv lines they come up with on the fly, and they add that to the joke. And if it doesn't get a laugh, then they don't add it to the joke. But they're calculated. But what they don't do is just laugh at their own jokes, like they're surprised at how funny the thing was that they just said. You know, I've talked about, on my other show, Quotes and Quips, and maybe this too, on about the ingredients of any joke. Any joke must have target, hostility, realism, emotion, exaggeration, surprise. Excuse me. A little hiccup there. Target, hostility, realism, emotion, exaggeration, surprise. It spells THREES, trees, or threes. THREES, threes. Excuse me. So, in this case, threes. THREES. So anybody who's writing a good joke has been honing it. They know that surprise, THREES, surprise is the most important one. Target is important. Hostility goes along with the target. If you've chosen your target correctly, then there is hostility toward that target. There should be realism, there should be emotion, there should be exaggeration. It's Quotes and Quips where I've talked about this. But the most important thing in comedy is surprise. The most important thing. It's surprise that makes us laugh. Oh, there's a twist in the joke, and it's the twist that surprises us. And the surprise makes us laugh. If we get to the punchline before you do, there's no surprise, there's no laugh, and there's no comedy. And there should be no you. Or the audience in that instance. But if you have surprise, you've got comedy. Now, there's no way that the writer of the joke, who wrote it, who edited it, who rehearsed it while he was walking on his daily walks, who tried it out in front of a bunch of audiences, who edited it down perfectly, who has done it a million times and now executes that joke perfectly. There's no way that person is laughing with any surprise at what they're hearing. No way. It's fake. It's a fake out. It's a fake thing. It's your cue to laugh. It's a fake thing. They might as well say, if it were a German comic, he would say, "You laugh now!" It's the same thing. "No, you laugh!" It's the same thing. Really. I don't mean to do a slide against the Germans, but that's the way, it's just to compare it to something that seems outrageous. Laughing at your own joke when you're a stand-up comic is impossible. Don't do that. Don't do that. And don't do it and slap the thing on your knee. Like you're so convulsed with laughter that you need some physical way, like a knee slapper, to express your overwhelming compulsion to laugh when you've told that joke maybe 150, 200 times. There's no way you find it funny. Don't tell me when to laugh. I don't like that. Comedians who break are liars, I would say. Comedians who are liars cannot be good comedians. Okay? Comedians who are liars are comedians who are thieves, who steal other people's jokes. Comedians who are liars are comedians who, bump people from tours or only hire them because they have a car. A comedian with a car is a touring comic. I've heard nightmare stories of sexual favoritism in the comic world. Yes, stand-up comedy has a dark underbelly of sexual favoritism and drugs and alcohol. Doesn't make comedy bad or anything. I'm not against it, but you could do all those things. Go on tour, be sexually abused. I don't really care what you do, but for heaven's sakes, don't pretend to laugh at your own jokes. There's no chance on earth that that's legitimate. I know a lie when I see one and when I hear one. And frankly, if you're a comic, I don't believe you from the start. But you start in with that Dave Chappelle slapping your knee with your microphone because you're convulsing with laughter at your own joke that you've heard 100 times, I know is a put-on. I know it's a put-on. And I don't like to be lied to. Make me laugh. Don't make yourself laugh. You're not on stage to make yourself laugh. You're on stage to make me laugh. Otherwise, you should be paying me $20. Right? Don't do that. Okay. You know why? It's a pet peeve of mine. Now, maybe it isn't of yours. Are you one of those comics who does the microphone against the knee, who laughs after he tells a joke? Like he just thought of it? Like your comedy coach told you, if you laugh after you say it, it'll seem like you just thought of it. Maybe the blue hairs buy that. Play that on the old humps, not on me. Come on. Be funny. You won't have to tell people to laugh. They'll laugh naturally. Write your jokes. Study. Study. I don't mean take a class. I mean watch the old movies. Watch the classics. And I don't mean Ghostbusters or Dumb and Dumber. I mean go back to the 30s, the 20s, the 40s, the 50s. There's classic comedy in every era. In every decade. Find it. Study it. Read about it. But don't just stand there laughing at your own jokes. You're not Carol Burnett watching Tim Conway be funny. I'm watching you not be funny. And yet you're laughing at your own jokes. Stop it. And Dave Chappelle, by the way, who does this a lot, I believe. And he's about the best of the stand-up comics working today, I think. There are a few that I would say stand out as the best today. Chappelle would certainly be one of them. Maybe at the very, very top of the list. But dude, don't be just, you say something and then you just droop your shoulders and stomp around the stage like you can't get over how all-consumingly hilarious it is. You've said it 200 times. It's no longer funny to you. You know what I mean? Is this part of your comic ballet? Is it really? Is it a good part of it? Does it make it better? Now maybe you like that. Maybe when you're in the audience at a comedy show, you're like, oh, that's the funniest thing. And by the way, I've seen clips of your comedy and it's horrible. And I'm not telling you you're wrong on either count. If you like it, you like it. But I don't. That's why it's one of my pet peeves. Maybe it's one of yours now. Maybe you never thought about it and you're thinking, yeah, that does annoy me. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe hearing me rant about it has made you feel like, no, I'm giving that up. God, the way this guy describes everything makes it sound so ridiculous. If I keep watching this show, I'm going to be free of all my pet peeves. Did you accidentally learn something? Well, probably not. I'm just here because misery loves company. And I'm here every other Monday where I premiere one of these shows all through 2025. The reruns stay up. But on alternating Mondays, here on this same YouTube channel, also Mondays at noon, Mountain Central Time, is my other show, Quotes and Quips, which is on its second year run, so check that out. The reruns always stay up. There's also reruns from 2024 of Quotes and Quips, and reruns of 2023's Tracking the Lone Wolf. That's on its own YouTube channel, Tracking the Lone Wolf at YouTube. Quotes and Quips, of course, is right here on this YouTube channel. So tune into all this, have fun. Don't forget my new album, I'm Possible. It's available for download wherever you like to download your favorite music. If you like to download your favorite music, you can download mine. Until then, tune in again. Bye, Mary.